Hey dads, welcome to Father Friend, a podcast for dads who want to lean in, lead well, and love big. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. For many years, from the time she was a toddler to even as an early teen, my daughter Kaylee and I had a bedtime ritual. I would often carry her upstairs to her room in my arms. On the way up, I would accidentally bump her head and legs against the staircase wall and say, "Oops, sorry." I would do that several times as we went up. She would laugh and say, "Dad, stop, you did that on purpose." Over the years, she would often ask me to carry her up, knowing full well that I would bump her head on the way. It was our little thing. Just a few weeks ago, my little girl and her husband marked 1 year of marriage, and it's brought back memories and emotions from her engagement and wedding day, like that bedtime ritual. So in light of their anniversary, I thought it would be a great opportunity to speak directly to you dads regarding regret, which sounds like a negative, but I want to turn most of our time to discuss more positively living regret-free. Regrets among parents are common. A recent OnePoll study found 67% of parents worry about missing special moments while their kids are young. 40% admit they've already missed a milestone, like a first step or a school play. 78% wish they had more time with their kids, and 82% feel their children are growing up too fast. Those numbers should hit us hard. They're a wake-up call. Regret is real, and it's coming for us if we're not careful. So I want to apply this to every dad listening. Whether you've got daughters or sons, whether they're toddlers, teens, or already grown, because what you do now can regret-proof your fatherhood. Today, we're going to talk about making minutes into moments, preparing to let go with intention, and stepping into the father-friend phase of fathering, all to avoid the kind of regrets that stick with you later in life. My goal is to help you be the dad your kids need today, so you don't look back with a heavy heart full of what-ifs. Let's get started. In order to understand the weight of this transition, it's important for you first to get some backstory about Kaylee's birth. Kaylee was not expected. More than that, the plan was no more kids after the first two. We had our firstborn son, healthy, 9 pounds, 5 ounces. Everything was great with Ryan. Then, about a year and a half later, my wife became pregnant again. We expected everything to go well, another healthy baby. However, at 15 weeks, when we went in for the sonogram, the technician doing the sonogram was eerily quiet. Immediately after, we went in to see the doctor. To our surprise, we learned that our baby had a birth defect, one that, according to the doctor, would be terminal. We were devastated. We were immediately directed to another hospital that had a more detailed sonogram. There, the diagnosis was confirmed. The problem was a neural tube defect called anencephaly, where the brain and back of the skull does not form. What made this particularly difficult is that babies with this anomaly continue to grow in the womb and move. While about half die in the womb, about half of them are born alive, but die within the first 2 to 3 days. Either way, this defect is terminal. You can imagine how heartbroken we were. After having a healthy boy, we were blindsided. We received counseling from the second doctor regarding the choice to abort, something we would never do, even in this case. He talked us through the possibility of stillbirth and even what would happen if the baby was born alive. Our world was spinning. My wife at the time bravely carried this little boy, whom we named Timothy, for 8.5 months until he stopped moving. Labor was induced, he was stillborn, and we held him in our arms. We had a funeral and grieved this great loss. Now, if you're going through this or have gone through the loss of a child, I would love it for you to reach out to me. If you're up for it, I'd love for us to talk. Well, 2 years later, we became pregnant again. Cautious and concerned, we went in for the sonogram at 15 weeks. Everything was fine. However, at our son's birth, the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck during labor, and he was born not breathing. As soon as he was born, he was rushed out of the delivery room to the ICU, where his breathing was stabilized, and soon everything was fine. A few hours later, we held Brandon. After bringing him home, my wife noticed how he would periodically stop breathing. She would shake him to get him to breathe, and eventually she called an ambulance. She did that twice in the first 2 weeks of bringing him home. Upon examination, it was determined that he had sleep apnea. So Brandon had to wear a breathing monitor for the first year of his life. He slept in our bedroom. We had some actual alarms and many false alarms. It was an anxious year as we worried about our son's health, but our boy eventually outgrew the problems as the doctor said he would and became strong and healthy. So, with all the health problems related to birth, and after being exhausted physically and emotionally, we decided we would be content with 2 healthy boys and have no more children. I scheduled an appointment to get that taken care of. A week before that appointment, we found out we were pregnant. And honestly, we were not excited. Fear gripped us at first. Happy about this news, we moved forward with concern. At 15 weeks, we went in for the sonogram and discovered that we had a healthy baby girl. We were so excited. In a twist, and as I believe, as a loving sign from God, Kaylee, our little girl, was born 5 years from the exact date of the funeral of our second child. So after 23 years of raising this little girl, and with the circumstances surrounding the gift that she was, it was time to let her go to establish her own family now at her wedding. This is why the transition was particularly meaningful for me as her daddy. All our kids are special, and every one of them has a backstory that illustrates the gift that they are to you. But here's the deal. We forget their specialness. It shouldn't take a crisis or a health issue to teach us this, but we forget the preciousness of the gifts that God gives us. We become familiar with them, and that which you become familiar with, you begin to take for granted. Bronnie Ware, an Australian palliative caregiver, wrote a book a few years ago called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. It's a sobering subject to consider, but a way that we can learn about living regret-free is to listen to those who make confessions of regret when dying. The first 3 of the top 5 regrets of the dying directly apply to dads. Number 1, people said, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. You know, adhering to cultural norms at the expense of your own passions will result in disappointment and bitterness. Number 2, people said, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Time is non-refundable, so if you spend it overworking, then you can't spend it doing more meaningful things. Number 3, people said, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Man, it is only by being open and honest about your thoughts and feelings that you can form genuine bonds with other people. Other research backs this up. A study in 2018 said regret grows when our decisions pull us away from our ideal self. Another study in 2002 noted that negative outcomes, like missing a milestone, hurt worse when we can't justify our choices later. Dads, we have control right now to sidestep those moments where we look back and wish we'd done something differently. It all starts with managing reality that we all face as dads, and that is the ruthless and relentless march of time. Let's go back to my daughter. Just a few weeks before Kaylee got engaged, a young man visited with me to ask for her hand in marriage. And I had some rather pointed questions for him. Why do you love my daughter? Are you keeping any secrets from her? How do you resolve conflict with her? What's your natural response when someone hurts or offends you? It wasn't completely a drill fest. I had other softer questions for Jared and affirming comments too. He was authentic, honest, and secure. No doubt he's the one for my girl. I spoke to Kaylee a couple of weeks after her engagement, and I could hear in her voice how happy and secure she was as she started planning her wedding. I was filled with joy for her. I had prayed for her future husband almost daily from the time she was a little girl, and there is great peace in knowing that God had answered that prayer. But since the day of their engagement and now on their 1-year anniversary, my mind has often gone back to the memories of her and the fondness associated with those memories. Simultaneously, I found myself troubled, almost angered by the brutal fact that minutes with our kids are fleeting. I wanted to rewind the years and hold those moments again, prevent them from ending and cherish them more consciously. Dads, you don't know when the day will come, but one day will be the last day you get to carry your child to their room, tuck them in bed, pray with them, kiss them goodnight, and hear those sweet words, I love you, Daddy. One day will be the last day. Dads, we only get one first day of kindergarten, 18 summers, 10 times to play Santa, 20 chances to play Tooth Fairy, one first date, one senior prom, one high school graduation, and one chance to teach them to be good human beings. Time is ruthless in this fact. Sadly, time is the only resource that must be spent the instant it is received. It cannot be saved, and it must be spent at a fixed rate, 60 seconds per minute, 60 minutes per hour, 24 hours a day. We cannot manage time. We can only manage ourselves in relation to time. We cannot control how much time we have. We can only control how we use it. So the perspective we should always have is doing our very best today. Psalm 90:12 captures the truth we need to live by. It says, "Teach us to number our days, O Lord, that we may gain a heart of wisdom." When we number our days, we're counting them, distinguishing each one as distinct, seeing every moment for what it truly is, a precious opportunity to make a memory. It's about slowing down to cherish the laughter, the bedtime prayers, and even the quiet frustrations, because those moments also shape the memories that we'll carry when our kids step into their own lives. That's the wisdom God offers us, a heart that sees, values, and holds tight to every second we're given. But here's the good news. Though we cannot stop the minutes, we can make minutes into moments. And by making minutes moments, we're able to craft memories. Memories that can never be taken away and that can make us laugh when we look back, comfort and console us when it's time to let go, and even allow us to be grateful for new moments that lie ahead. Dr. Howard Hendricks said it best, "The fear is not to fail, but to succeed at the wrong things." Succeed at being their dads. Don't let other less important things steal your legacy. Let's move on to the second perspective. Fast forward now to Kaylee's wedding day. A few weeks after her engagement, my daughter got married, and it was a very sentimental and special event. A mosaic of emotions, reflection, celebration, and a little bit of mourning for the passing of her childhood. Yet it was also a moment of immense pride and joy as I witnessed the confident, loving, and capable woman she has become. Standing there, watching her, I flashed back to her little girl years. Now here she was, a bride. From the time of planning parenthood, I had always wanted to be a girl's daddy. The Lord gave me that in her and more. Kaylee and I have similar interest in the outdoors, in sports, in exercise, and in our faith. Through the years, we've become buddies around these. Letting go is a gut punch for any dad. You spend years protecting your kids from the world's dangers. You're there for the ups and downs. Then their wedding day comes, and in the case of my daughter, I'm now entrusting someone else with that sacred responsibility. For me, it wasn't just walking her down the aisle. It was trusting this young man to cherish and protect her as fiercely as I have. I wasn't just giving her hand to her husband. I was handing over a role that I had held for 25 years. But I did it. I shed a few tears, shook them off, walked her down the aisle, and gave her away to a good, loving man. Someone once said the hardest part of being a dad is raising those you can't live without to live without you. That's tough but true. Here's the thing. Letting go doesn't start on the wedding day. It starts long before, and what you do now sets the stage. In our father-friend model, we're guiding our kids through a journey from dependence in Q1, where they need us for everything, to interdependence in Q2 and Q3, where you're helping them learn life skills and grow up to take on responsibility, all the way to independence in Q4, where they're ready to fly. For dads with kids entering their late teens or young adult years, a part of that independence is emotional distancing. With Kaylee, this started toward the end of college and deepened when she began seriously dating Jared. She didn't seem to need me as much, but that's exactly what's supposed to happen. It's a sign of her maturing, of her now making her marriage and her new home her number one priority. Jared became the first man in her life, her best friend, and that's how it should be. So don't be alarmed by that shift by your sons and daughters, and certainly don't fight it. Assist in letting it fade in at the end of Q3 and into Q4. Come alongside your child, accept your new role, and encourage their dedication to their spouse. I'll be honest, I grieved letting her go. I still do sometimes, even a year later. But you can grieve and still celebrate this new phase of life for your child. You'll always be their daddy. And in referring to your daughter, you'll always be the first man she loved. You're never replaced, just realigned in their life. The roots you plant in their early years will bear fruit when they step out on their own. Build trust now. Be the dad who shows up for the little things. Lead in Q1, coach in Q2, and mentor in Q3. When you do, you and your child will be more ready for Q4. So as you prepare to let go, you also get to embrace something new and beautiful, the father-friend phase of fatherhood. That's perspective number 3. Let's talk about that. In our father-friend model, quadrant 4 is where you've done your work raising them and now your role shifts to being a supporter. This phase is marked by some really cool things. Listening to them without directing them, affirming their choices, empowering them to take the lead, trusting their decisions, and refraining from telling them what to do. You're there for advice when they ask, a steady presence that they can lean on. For me, Kaylee's wedding marked this transition. It was a moment of reflection on all the years I'd spent raising her, her first steps, her first day of school, her first heartbreak, but also a moment to look forward to the new relationship that we'd build as adults. A year into her marriage, I've loved watching her grow into her role as a wife. Earlier this year, she became a Susie homemaker. She was baking bread. She loves to bake sourdough bread, and it was delicious. I didn't say this to her, but it reminded me of when she was little. She and I baking cookies together or a cake, flour all over the floor, on her nose. So seeing her now brings a unique kind of pride in this new phase. I wasn't a perfect dad. I lost my temper more than I'd like, and there were nights I was too distracted to really listen and soak it all in as a father. Maybe I sought order and quiet a little too much. Someone once said, I used to dream of the day I'd have a clean house, peace and quiet, and time to myself. That day came, and now it breaks my heart. Well, maybe that was me a bit, but I embrace the good I've done too, and that helps ease the transition. We dads might struggle with the idea of letting go, but here's the truth. Our kids carry the values, skills, and character we've instilled in them, even through our imperfections and failings. And it's fun to see them come to fruition. Our child's marriage isn't an end. It's a continuation of the beautiful, chaotic, and immensely rewarding journey we've been on together. As our kids step into their roles as partners and one day parents, we can take comfort in knowing we've prepared them well and done our best. You're still their dad, but now you get to cheer them on from the sidelines as they build their own families. So start shaping this phase now with the choices you make today, especially in Q3. Practice listening, resist the urge to jump in with solutions or to rescue them, affirm their choices even though they're different from yours, empower them to step into their own lives with confidence. The habits you form today shape the father friend you'll become tomorrow. Don't let "I wish I'd been there" be the echo in your hearts years from now. My daughter's engagement and wedding were some of the best moments of my fatherhood journey, and I know those milestones will be just as meaningful for you. Your kids need you now, not just on their wedding day, but every single day leading up to it. Let's make this one journey we have worth living, one without the shadow of regret. I'm brought back to those bedtime rituals, carrying my daughter upstairs to bed. Sadly, I don't remember the last time I carried her upstairs, what day it was, or how old she was. I wish I did, but I'm so thankful that I remember many times doing so. Her laughter, her little body in my arms, her sleepy "I love you, Daddy," as I kissed her goodnight. Those moments of bedtime became moments for us, and now I hold them as memories. Memories that helped me as I gave her away to a good and godly man a year ago now. In this respect, I have no regrets, and that's a gift I want for every dad listening. Happy first anniversary, Jared and Kaylee. I love you both very much. Dads, today is really the only moment you've got. You're not assured of any other, so count the day. Make it count. Lean in, lead well, love fiercely. Thanks for listening today. I'm Dr. Mike Ayers. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with other dads. I'd love to hear from you. Email me at mikea@fatherfriend.net with comments, questions, and your biggest takeaways. For more tools, resources, and real talk on fatherhood, visit fatherfriend.net or follow on social media @ThinkingDads. See you next time.